Good evening, fellow gamers. Welcome to the first edition of the Penta-Cast, the podcast about all the MOBAs out there. And when I say all the MOBAs, I just mean League of Legends and Dota 2, because those are the two biggest ones we got on the market right now. And here I have two of my friends helping out, Zensatsu.
Hello, everybody.
And Cowslayer.
Hello.
Alrighty, the first thing for discussion today, we're going to be talking about the Dota 2 being free to play with a twist. So we have Gabe Newell discussing that Dota 2 will be free to play, but with a twist. Him talking about how if you are going to be a troll, you will be reprimanded of sorts, and if you are going to be a extremely good addition to the community, you will be heavily rewarded. So what do you guys think about Gabe Newell saying all this junk about it being free to play with a twist? Zensatsu?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, people who are doing well and just trying to make a game a better place to be should be rewarded, while I think people who are just going to bring down the value of the community as a whole should be given some sort of punishment.
So
I think I'll just enhance the experience of the game and make everybody feel a lot better, because I know when I play MOBA or something and somebody on our team is just being a complete asshole about the entire game, verbally abusing in text or in voice and data, it just brings down the quality of the game immensely, makes it pretty much not fun to play anymore.
So would you be participating heavily in the community in order to get these rewards for being a nice community addition, or you just is it just not going to bother you?
I think I'm going to try to do my best, because I don't really like to be a dick in the game. And also, I mean, if there's a little bit of a reward, hey, it's a reward for doing good.
Might as well.
Yep, pretty much.
So Gabe Newell's having a high success with TF2's way of giving people who add to the community hats, for example. Do you think there's going to be some type of flair or anything that you'll gain as an addition in Dota 2, Cowslayer?
Yeah, I think that'd be a really cool idea. It'd be kind of cool to see like somebody that is good, and you'd be able to identify him by like a special skin that they have. You'd be able to instantly recognize, oh god, I know who this guy is. He's got that special skin. I think we're gonna do good, and you could help learn from them. It'd be a lot easier to tell who they are.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. If there's like a person who is the best, say, Zeus in the entire game, and they've written a bunch of guides, and you see him in game, you could be like, hey, can you help me out?
Yeah.
Do you think that there will be a reprimand system such as League of Legends Council Majigger? I can't remember the name off my
Tribunal?
Yeah, that one, where people vote and check out chat logs and all that stuff to see who's actually just making troll accounts just to piss people off, or if they're legitimate players that just suck.
I think it'd be good just to help let the community deal with the problems that it has inside of it. That and just, any sort of reward for that kind of thing would be just sort of a bonus. And that's kind of what a reward is now that I think about it.
Bonus, reward, synonyms are fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the idea of the community policing the community.
Yeah, instead of it being administrators where you have to go cry to them, you actually feel like you have power in the community.
Yeah.
Makes you feel like you're making a difference.
Yeah. So we're going to be heading on over to the second topic of discussion right now. The newest champion in League of Legends, Hecarim, the Shadow of War, the big centaur guy. So he's looking pretty interesting. It looks like he is a tanky initiator. Do you have any input on how you play him? What additions to competitive play or any of that sort, Zensatsu?
I prefer to play him in solo top, although I have seen some people, actually many people, play him in more of a jungler type role, and he seems to do really well in that respect. His ganks are pretty strong, he deals a lot of damage, and he can deal with it pretty quickly, and he has some pretty good consistent damage as well. So he seems like he'd be a really good value member of the team. As always, though, it depends on who you're with but never know.
Yeah. So, do you
He's
think...
pretty strong. So he's a good addition to the team.
Is he more like a dueler, or is he more of a team fight AoE, just annihilate everything?
He's a pretty good duelist in the game. He really shines in team fights as an initiator with his ultimate and his devastating charge. That's him run with his ultimate pretty much smack dab into the middle of things and just start taking out what he needs to take out. Also, just his sustain in a 1v1 fight is pretty good. So.
Is there anything that you would deem overpowered or needs a slight bit of tweaking for him to be brought back down into the meta game or up into it?
Nothing I can think of at the moment.
So
he seems like a pretty decent hero overall.
Alrighty, do you have any additions, Cowslayer?
Nope.
Alrighty.
Don't really know that much about him yet.
So I think he looks pretty sweet. He's a centaur. He's finally moving away from the bipedal mantra of League of Legends that I've come to see. There's not way too many out there champions that they have, so I think it's a pretty nice addition to add some variety. To me, he looks pretty strong, but more as a tank, not so much as a lot of DPS. So probably fits right into his role. And I wouldn't be able to see him to be used in too much competitive play, solely due to the fact that he seems to be more based on area of effect damage instead of straight up CC disables or support for your team, or straight up carry, which those...
He might be able to. I mean, he's free to play this week.
True. We could see some...
try him out.
We could see some crazy stuff from people.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's always something you've never seen before.
Which is pretty scary when you come to think about it. So,
very scary.
We're going to go ahead and move on to our second topic of discussion for today. We'll be talking about eSports and how League of Legends and Dota 2 will be stepping up into the eSports scene. We've seen League of Legends go ahead and get accepted finally into MLG Providence, where they will be heavily engaged in it. They've already had a lot of tournaments self-held beforehand, as well as DreamHack being a severely successful run for them. Do you guys think that eSports is going to be on the rise for popularity for League of Legends and Dota 2?
Yeah, actually. I mean, it would give the communities of MOBA fans something else to watch, and just because of the fact that they're fast-paced and very interesting, especially in the team fights when all the really insane stuff starts to happen, they can also do really well.
Now, do you think that within, say, like 5 or 10 years, we already have eSports being on the rise in the East, which they have always strongly been in South Korea, for instance, with StarCraft 1, and Rhode Island actually coming into eSports history pretty much as setting their own holiday. I can't nail down the actual day, but that is where they solely focus on electronic sports. Do you think that eSports is going to be on the rise for all the rest of the states? We already got one. We got like 70 more states to go. Do you think...
Well, I think there are that many, but...
might be a little bit off.
Math wasn't my strong suit. So, do you think that Dota 2, it's in beta right now, but we already had the international last year. Do you think that Dota 2 is going to hold strongly in the esports department?
We can only hope. I mean, with a game like that, that's really had a lot of hype, and then people have enjoyed playing it for what they have in the beta. I really think it could do a lot in that respect.
Cowslayer, any additions?
I mean, we can just only hope that it does well. That is, like you said, it is very, very interesting to watch, especially in those team fights. It is very cool to see, and a little bit hectic sometimes with all the abilities going off.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
It's like, okay, there's a bunch of pretty colors on the screen. Not entirely sure what's going on, though.
Shit's going down.
Just got real.
So we got... do you guys think that there's going to be another international come either before release or right at release or shortly thereafter of Dota 2, where we get another 30 or so teams? Hopefully the Nawi team will be showing up. Do you think that international is going to be held again?
Hopefully.
It might. I mean, it might just take some time for everything to get established, but because I don't think it'll be right after, just because the community should probably get some time to build up and really get into the mindset of it, and get people to be established in certain things. But I do think it has a lot of potential.
I think it'd be a very interesting, like, release thing. Like, on the day of release, have that going on.
Yeah.
There's like a big, like, celebration of, hey, it's finally out. We're having this cool international thing. It'd be like a good way to get out. Kind of like a good marketing thing.
Do you think if they do that, how would they incorporate the community? Because they're going to be solely focused on the community, but also to heavily influence all the professional gamers that they're going to be dragging from the Warcraft 3 Dota. Do you think there might be a ladder of sorts where we'll have like a good 2 weeks to do practice, get our ELO up, and try and get into the international ourselves? Or would it be invitational like the first one was?
I think to start out with, it'll probably just be invitational with the big teams and big name groups competing. But as the game develops and the community develops, I think it's very likely that outstanding players might themselves be invited to participate in big tournaments.
Yeah, I agree. It'll probably start off invitational.
I think it'd be a pretty big step forward if Valve went ahead and for the next large, like, let's say, $5 million prize pool, that they pull people from the community to play as well, instead of just the pre-established teams to try and give the underdog a chance.
I do think it's awesome.
It'd be very interesting, because as with a big team, that people will know who they are, and they'll expect them to do well, but if you see someone who comes quite literally almost out of the blue and then does extremely well, that's always really exciting to see someone new branch into a big market like that.
Yeah.
I think it's just really interesting and, like, very cool that there's that big of a prize pool for a game. Like, I think that's awesome that, like, it is that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal.
Just a little.
Very well put.
So, do you guys think that League of Legends is going to continue being a large eSports holder as well? We know Dota was all focused purely on competitive play, but League of Legends still has that casual feel to it solely for their art style. Do you think that League of Legends, they hold their own competitions at DreamHack? Do you think they could possibly bring in people from the community?
Maybe.
Don't have any other additions?
Not really.
Right. Let's go ahead and move on to our next topic of discussion. Is Dota 2 going to live up to its predecessor, Warcraft 3 Dota? Warcraft 3 Dota was running for a heck of a long time. It went through 7 or 6.67 versions. I don't know how many of those versions are actually versions or just decimals. But there was a whole bunch of crap that went through. And at the end of 6.67, I believe, is the last update that Ice Frog put out for Warcraft 3. There were 100 heroes that was focusing on strength, agility, and intelligence. Nothing too crazy. But do you think that Dota 2 is going to live up to the predecessor? Gabe Newell has already stated that they want to have 120 heroes